Right, we'll be back. This is the next episode for the grid. If you can look at how we added images, okay, we downloaded them and we already have them, and we also have this HTML structure. So if you can look at now, I've created a CSS file called images G, which is for grid.css, and I've also linked it here in my HTML here. So it is images g.css. So if you look at so far what we have, there's no big change, there is no styling. So let's now go to style using our grid. Now for grid, as I said, it's a 2D, which is different from 1D for Flex. So for this case, they may still have the codes for it. Remember, we have our body. Our body remains the same. We can just have margin 0. Sorry, you can have a margin 0. Also, font family, I can just leave it like that. Then I also need to have sorry, this is margin. Okay, I'll need to have the background. Let me leave it to, okay, in this case let me use beige. Okay, then I go to my image, which is images, which is an ID. Then I say gap. Let me just call it padding 20 pixels. Okay, here I'm done. So now let me go to the class. So dot image img container, I just now start my codes here. Display a grid. For this case it is grid. Then sorry, display grid. Then I have to define the grid template columns, which is repeat. Okay, how many we are auto fit. Then my minimax, I'm giving 250 pixels. Then at least one space, one FL, in case the columns don't fit. Then the gap, I'm giving it 20 pixels like this. So far, if I check what I have, you see there is at least a change. Instead of for them being in 1D, they are now in 2D. You can see now it's different from what we looked at in Flex. Now let me go to the images themselves. img container img. So what am I doing? Width, let me give them the width 100%. This time let me use 100%. Then height, let me use 220 pixels. Then object fit, okay, object fit cover. Okay, then also I need now to add border, which is, let me add border radius, which is 12 pixels, like how I did in Flex. Then border, the rest of these ones remain the same, like for the Flex, 3 pixels solid. This one maybe let me leave it as white, because when you add shadow with white, it will be very colorful. So border shadow, box shadow here, box shadow. Let me give it 0.4 pixels, then 15 pixels in the right RGBA, which is 0 red, 0 green, 0 blue, and 0.5 1.5, which is alpha. Then also transition, transform, 0.35. The same still is. Then box shadow, also 0.35 is. Okay, that's pretty cool. Then I'm done with that. So let me go to the hover. Before you go to the hover, let's check now what you have. Oops. So you can see, because we gave it the fit. Remember width we said 100%. So we need to, okay, let's first add all these codes. Then here, the image img, container img, then hover. Let's put some transform scale of 1.05. This one I can add it to, okay, 0.05. Then box shadow also of 0.8 px, 25 px. Okay, then RGBA can add the same. Then let me save and see the changes. So you can see, oh, but 2 is too huge, you see, scaling. So when you look at the width, let's give it 250 pixels. Okay, let me give it 250 pixels. Then this one I give it 200. Okay, so px pixels. Then this one I leave it like that. Let me see the changes now. So you see, so this is our grid. Reason, because I said here columns repeat, but if I wanted to define the number of columns, I would have also defined like here grid. So for example, if I say here, let me remove this, let me define columns or repeat. Then how many? 3, just one space, 1 fr, like this. So if I save this and I view changes, now you can see the difference here. But this transition is this one is too huge. This one, let me just say 1.05, so that it works better for us. Okay, pretty fine, you can see, but this gap is too huge, the gap between these ones. Where did I put it? The gap here. Gap 20 is pixels. May use 10. Okay. Oh, okay. Because we have 3 column 3. Okay, 3 columns, then 1 space. Okay, now no space for this case. No space. No, we need to have space. Oops. We need to have 1 space. Otherwise, to look messy. Yeah, it will look messy. Column repeat. Okay, column repeat. Okay, save the changes and have it like this. Okay, yeah, thank you for watching. That's all about the images in HTML and CSS using Flex and Grid. Have best of your day. See you.